You're listening to Strange by Nature, your guide to the strange, weird, unbelievable, and improbable wonders of the natural world.
Hello, everyone, and thanks for being here today. I'm Kirk Mona, and joining me are Rachel Gimza and Victoria Thompson. We're all naturalists who together have scoured the world for weird and wonderful wonders, just to please your mammalian brain's desire for novelty. Isn't that nice? Let's do this.
Welcome back to the show, everyone. It's you and me, Kirk.
Oh my gosh, just the two of us this week.
Just two of us.
There's so much fun to talk about.
Oh, I am very excited about whatever you're bringing to the table. I'm also really excited about what I'm bringing to the table because
Bring it.
I've had this on my, maybe not my list necessarily, but it's been on my radar for a little while, and I just wanted to give it enough space, and now I can talk about it. I'm so excited.
Cool. Interesting. I'm intrigued.
Okay, so I get to start us off this week. Kirk, when you think of play, what do you think about? Like, do you think of other animals playing? Like, what do you think of? Which animals do you think of for play that can play?
This is hard because
Isn't it?
I've seen. I remember years ago there was a video being shared online of a crow.
Mm-hmm.
That was, everyone said the crow was using a jar lid and sliding down a roof on it. It would carry it to the top, stand on it, and slide down and go back up. And everyone's like, "Oh my gosh, look, it's playing! It has it's made its own little sled and it's going sledding. That's so fun."
Mm-hmm.
And I know myself and some other people who are bird people were looking at it going, what? That's not the most logical explanation. It could be trying to get to the highest spot to sit there and pick food out of it, and then it stands there and it keeps on sliding down. And the reason it's going back to the top is it's just trying to get a good perch. You know what I mean? So when we look at animals and we see play, we have to really be careful that we're not putting our human, anthropomorphizing, if you will, these animals. I think there certainly are animals that play, though. I mean, puppies, and kittens and things. I think about playing. I think about dolphins even sometimes, like some of their action, which just seems like they're doing stuff when they're jumping out of the water, and it just seems that they're doing it just for, snicks and tickles. They're just like they look like they're just having fun, And I certainly there does seem to be some animals that do things for play. There's like playing with your food as well. And I've seen some interesting stories about that. There was one about dolphins recently about them playing with food. Is that what you're talking about?
It is not.
Okay.
So
do you know the story I'm talking about?
Maybe.
I don't think it's enough for a whole
Vaguely.
episode on the show. So I'll tell you, there was evidence of dolphins playing with a dead fish.
Oh, yeah.
Like they were literally just like, it was like a play thing, and they were like balancing it on their head and doing all kinds of crazy stuff with it. And it was like, yeah, they were essentially, they were like, hey, look, something fun. It's a dead fish. Let's play with it. So
Yeah.
a lot of animals probably play, but hard to interpret.
It is hard to interpret. So I'm glad you mostly focused on mammals. So in
Sure, yeah.
we're going to get into it. This started in 2017.
Okay.
There were a group of researchers at the Queen Mary University of London.
Okay.
A number of researchers who wanted to look at what it means to play, if other animals could play, right?
Cool. Very cool.
Very, very interesting. And they were looking at a particular group of animals. Now, play is one of those things that indicates more sentience when it comes to
Interesting.
like development, and like one of the markers that scientists look at for like intelligence and sentience. Because if you're able to play, you have more like thoughts going through your head, or like you might have inner feelings, you might have some other experiences happening that allow you to
I could definitely see emotion.
show. Right. It's more emotion.
I think you
than
can sometimes
anything.
play. Yeah, you can play without like having to internalize what you're doing. I think humans can get lost in a moment and just be playing, and you're not like,
right.
You know, this
really
is a relaxing
thinking
activity.
about it.
Yeah.
Right.
In fact, the best play is when you're not thinking about it.
Exactly. So there are a number of animals that have been seen to play. Mammals fairly consistently.
Sure.
Some birds have been shown that they can and do play. Cephalopods have also been shown to exhibit that they are able to play.
That makes sense.
And some fish even have been shown to play. Now,
okay.
There's a pretty big group, though, that is missing.
Are you going to... Is it insects?
Uh-huh.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, this is going to blow my mind. Okay.
Yeah, it is. So
I don't picture insects playing at all.
No.
Unless they're playing jokes on me.
Just wait, Kirk. So the reason why I'm so excited about this is in 2017 in a lab at in Lars Chicka's lab in the Queen Mary University of London. A bunch of grad students were like, this would be interesting. They were learning about animal behavior, okay? They were trying to interpret and whether or not like things could be play. So in 2017, Lars Chitka taught bumblebees to roll balls in exchange for a sugary treat, right? So that is a learned behavior. Like if you roll this ball, then you get this like sugar reward. That is a that's very common in operant conditioning.
Yeah.
If you do the thing that I'm looking at for you to do, I will reward you with something. With operant conditioning, that's a form of you want to introduce a behavior that you are looking for, and it's kind of like there's different forms of operant conditioning. It's kind of like a 4-part chart. There's like rewards and there are punishments. Think of like the noise with whenever you're not wearing your seatbelt in your car. That noise is a form of operant conditioning, so you do buckle your seatbelt in the car. Because it just gets more and more annoying the longer it goes off. Now, here's the thing. So they taught the bumblebees in exchange for that sugary prize, just a little sugar treat. They had 3 different colors that kind of were like pollen grains. They had white, yellow, and purple. And they needed to figure out if they were playing. So what do you do?
Okay, yeah.
Right? So first things first, you have to take away that particular reward. So they ended up setting up the system where they could move in from one side of the like space that they were using, from one side of the plexiglass space to the other, and they weren't having to like bump into anything. They could get right across and get some sugar. Okay. Along the sides of the path, they placed little wooden balls. Some were loose, some were fastened down, and they could access the sugar without interacting with the balls at all. Okay?
Okay, I think I understand.
They did this with 45 different bumblebees. Okay? So pretty decent size, or like sample size.
Sample size, yeah.
And they did this over 54 hours watching. So I love this. And each one of the 45 bees did some sort of ball rolling. Some the bees actually returned and moved the balls in different patterns. Feeding and ball rolling happen at different times and frequencies, like, which show
Was this after they had already been trained to move the balls to get food? Now they had free access to food, or this is how it started?
This is after they had been trained to move the balls.
Gotcha.
So these bees had been trained to do that, but now they have free access to sugar. They know where that sugar is.
Sure.
It is not an influence for feeding or whether or not they want to play. And they seem to show that there were different motivations between whether or not they were playing with the balls or like going to eat, because it was happening at different times and different frequencies. It also showed that the younger the bumblebee, and male bees especially, were more interested in rolling balls rather than an older female bee.
Okay, so the young male bees played with the balls more.
Mm-hmm.
Then, gotcha.
Yeah. Well, young and male bees. So the younger the bees, they would play more.
That doesn't make it sound any better.
Yeah. So like both younger female and male bees would play with the little balls. And
I'm trying to keep a straight face here, Rachel. It's difficult.
And like the older male bees would also play with these little wooden balls. Okay. But so like they literally were showing that the bees didn't have to go and roll the balls at all to get any of the sugar.
Sure.
So they actually like they wanted to be sure, obviously, that this was play, right? So
yeah, I'm still not totally convinced on that.
Right. Well, what ended up happening is they had different chambers be different colors, and if they wanted to go into where the balls were, where they could like roll them, that was one color, and another chamber where they could just go straight through. There were no balls, nothing. There was the sugar at the end, and there was sugar at the end of both of these chambers. It showed they actually seemed to prefer going through the chamber that
had the balls.
That even when it was empty and all the balls were removed, that color chamber, they seemed to prefer going through that versus others.
Yeah.
Like,
it's all intriguing.
Yes, and obviously, like, they need to know, like, if there's any neurotransmitting and, like, what's going on in the brain potentially, but it was really interesting, and they don't know for sure, but it does lean towards the idea that the bees were playing.
I mean, bees are social animals, and one of the functions of play is to build social connections and social understanding and all those things. Like, that's a function of play. So it kind of wouldn't surprise me, I guess, if bees had some form of play. I'm not convinced this shows that. Just in how do you rule out just the operant conditioning you did? Like, think about, you had that car for years that you drove that had that annoying binging noise you talked about, and then you get a new car that doesn't have it, but you still put your seatbelt on as soon as you get in because it's habit now, right? And you go, are they just playing, sort of playing with or interacting with those colored balls because they're still kind of thinking like, maybe I'll get something better with this? Or have they not made the connection that they can get the honey without doing it? Or have they, like the whole separated by time thing is pretty interesting. I think that's the most interesting part of it. I'd want to, and this is what I love about researchers, trying to figure out how do we separate these things out, which is just,
which is what they were
so
trying
hard
to do. And in the paper itself, they did find that the ball rolling that was happening, they had a couple of different factors. It didn't contribute to, and I quote, it did not contribute to immediate survival strategies, so they weren't harmed in any way. The ball rolling was intrinsically rewarding. It was just there's video of the bees rolling the balls, and it's very funny because they're very fluffy and they're rolling the balls and kind of landing on their backs, and it does look like they're playing. Again, that is me looking at it through an anthropomorphic lens.
It's fascinating. How do you tease that out? And you say it's intrinsically more. It's just intrinsically valuable in its own right. And you go, well, is that what play is? Just something you do?
That is something how they so there is behavioral criteria for animal play that they use in science, because there is a list of criteria, and what the bees were doing fulfills that criteria. And
so it may not be the same criteria that we might have.
Exactly. So there's more criteria that it does actually show. So the intrinsically rewarding, as well as it differed from functional behavior in form. So rather than just going straight for the sugar, they would stop from going straight towards the sugar source where they knew where the sugar source was, and would stop and roll a ball roll a ball or two in a couple different ways before going over to the sugar, or not go to the sugar at all. It was repeated behavior, not one bee showing another and then getting a treat right after or anything like that.
Right.
And it was initiated under stress-free conditions. So those 5 criteria really are what behavioral scientists look at when they are defining play in other animals outside of humans, especially.
Cool.
And this particular experiment showed that this bumblebee had all of those criteria. So at the moment, bumblebees seem to be able to play, which is pretty fun.
That's super cool.
Yeah. Obviously, there's lots of other questions that you were bringing up. There is other things how can we show play in a way where we're not conditioning them for a particular treat or whatever? How do you take that away so that way it's not just something else? Because
would they just do it on their own if you put ones in who had never been rewarded for rolling those balls? Would they find them and be like, this is fun, we should do
this? Yeah. So it was just really fascinating, and there are lots of different ways when it comes to play that come into research. Oftentimes animal play especially has greater goals and for survival skills that can be used later on. You think of cats and how they play with each other, and that actually helps them with hunting skills and things. Same with people, how we play helps with social interaction and how to relate with others as well when we're older. It's just interesting, and I can't wait to see what ends up happening after all of this. This research was published in Animal Behavior in the December 2022 issue. The paper is titled "Do Bumblebees Play?" And it is by Haroon Samadi Gapayege Donna et al. Under Lars Chitka at the St. Mary's, I think I said earlier, the St. Mary's University of London. Another source that I had was...
It was Queen something.
Oh. At the Queen Mary University of London. So it's just really interesting, and I thought it was so cute.
That is wild. That's so...
Bumblebees. And the
bees are not where I thought you were going to go. So
no, and this is actually the first time that they've documented any sort of play behavior in insects, which is really cool.
Wild.
I'm really fascinated to see where else this could go. My other sources were Scientific American, had a great article, Grace Van Deelen, October 2022. And that is what I have this week.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah. We're going to take a quick break, and it'll be you, Kirk. It's just you and me. I'm excited.
All right. See you soon. Welcome back from the break, everyone. This topic that I have this week is strange. Not surprising because the show is called Strange by Nature, but it's a different sort of topic than I might normally do. But I think it's fun, so I can talk about it. It was fun last week to have Brett on the show because the three of us all work together, and we just finished up teaching summer camp. Now, one of those camps we work on is a highlight of the summer because we get to do it. The three of us get to do it together. We teach a camp called the Goodrich School for Witches and Wizards, which sounds completely bonkers, and it is. This is a 4-day long day camp where we transform the Nature Center into a magical school where students go on adventures, take magical classes, and have an amazing time. I'm the potions professor, which basically means I'm teaching chemistry all week. Rachel and Brett teach classes like Care of Mysterious Creatures, where kids can meet a live owl, or herbology, where they can learn about wild edibles. It's basically, let's be honest, it's just a trick to teach a lot of the same things we always teach about, but we get to be extra silly, wear costumes and hats, and create a fantasy world where kids love to explore, while what we're really doing is tricking them into falling in love with an amazing world that we already inhabit. So it's a pretty special week of the summer. And as potions master, my line of work sometimes crosses into herbology territory, as potion ingredients often come from nature. And I also have to think up all kinds of like fun things to do that are chemistry adjacent for the kids. They need to be safe, fun, magical, and above all else, affordable, which rules out a lot of chemistry stuff. I also need like 4 years worth of different classes, since some kids come back summer after summer after summer, and they can be in it for 4 years in a row. So I have to come up with new stuff all the time. And that's a real challenge. But this year, I hit upon a new idea for a class, and it's such a fun one that the kids are not going to mind if I do it every single year. And it was a big hit. It involves making something delicious. I came up with this class idea when I was thinking about a certain other witch and wizard franchise popular with kids that I won't mention for both legal and moral reasons, since the creator is both litigious and has proven herself to be a horrible, hateful person. But in this other fantasy world the kids are familiar with, a popular drink is butterbeer, right? And I'm not sure why kids drink beer in her fantasy world, but they do. I guess it isn't actually alcoholic. It's just magically intoxicating, which I guess somehow makes it okay for children.
No.
Seems almost worse. Right?
That's worse, yeah.
Like what? Like they don't get hungover or something, so therefore it's okay for kids to get drunk? Like that's kind of the lesson I'm getting.
I mean, I feel like they can magic away headaches maybe, but I don't know.
It's weird. It's weird, okay?
It is weird.
But it's weird dividing line, but here we are. So butterbeer was probably inspired by a very real drink, buttered beer, which is essentially, I looked it up, eggnog plus beer, which...
That doesn't sound good.
Doesn't. No, it doesn't. But that's a real thing. So
I'm not a huge fan of beer in the first place.
Right. Well, I was thinking, what sort of similar drink could we come up with to make here at our North American school? And it suddenly hit me. I don't need to invent anything. We already have the greatest beverage in the world, and we can make it with the kids. I am talking, of course, about root beer.
Yeah, you are.
Yes. Strange by Nature fans. It seems like a weird topic, but I want to talk about root beer this week because it is 100% natural, 200% awesome, and very, very strange. So first off, like what is root beer? It isn't beer. Let's get
No.
that straight out of the way. Not beer at all. It's actually a sweet tea that's served cold. A very sweet tea that's served cold. The basic and
I
carbonated.
actually don't know much about root beer. I know sassafras is involved, but that's about it.
Awesome. We're going to get there. Well, the basic ingredients really trace their roots back to indigenous Native Americans who were using the ingredients medicinally for countless generations before anybody else ever came to this continent. Mm-hmm. And when early colonists did come to the continent, they learned about how to make these same teas that had been made for a long time. They were probably not as sugary as the soda drink we have today, but pretty much the same ingredients were being made to brew herbal teas. And I have had basically warm root beer.
Yeah.
Which you go, oh, that can't be good. It's actually really good. It makes a really nice warm drink.
Well, I think about like root beer as being carbonated, which is why I'm like less okay with warm root beer. But if it's warm and it's not carbonated,
well,
yeah.
I'll tell you the first batch that I'd never had warm root beer, but the first batch I made this year wasn't cooling down fast enough. So I'm like, well, where to go with it? We're just gonna have it warm. And I was like, this is pretty good. I kind of like it warm, which is very weird. Yeah. It was like not like room temperature, but like tea temperature.
Okay.
And it was pretty tasty.
All right. I like a good tea.
Now, some of those, because sanitation was very poor back then, in colonial times, something called a small beer was also popular. And a small beer is where you like very lightly ferment your drink. That's really more for the bacterial killing property of the alcohol content than to say get drunk. People just drink it like throughout the day.
It's why it's why like beer and wine and such and tea are such widespread, like especially in older times, like that's what you drank. You didn't drink water because it wasn't safe to just drink water.
Water wasn't really safe to drink, yeah. But if you would boil it and make a tea out of it, that could make it a lot safer. And the tea, the herbal ingredients are mostly there either to make it taste better or to give it some sort of medicinal quality, which is where it first started off.
Right.
So there were very likely small beers back in colonial times that might have tasted like what we think today as root beer tasting like, but they were not called root beer at the time, even though they actually were beers. That part of this history is a little confusing. Okay. It wasn't until we had to jump forward to 1875 that Charles Elmer Hyers, who was a pharmacist, brewed up an herbal tea he called Hyers Herb Tea.
Okay.
Now, to be clear, even though he is given a lot of the credit, he was just mixing together ingredients people have been combining for hundreds, if not thousands of years to make a very similar tasting drink. The reason Hyers gets so much credit is down to marketing. He was in Philadelphia, and he realized that the coal miners in Philadelphia were way too manly to drink tea. So he rebranded his sweet tea drink as Hyers Root Beer.
There it is.
That really made it take off. So Hyers Root Beer, still available today in the U.S. It's really the oldest root beer out there. Root beer also really took off in the 1920s then. In America during Prohibition, when all alcohol was outlawed nationwide. And many breweries that were desperate to keep people employed began to try to find other things to make and sell. And root beer was like an alternative product that they could make and sell.
Right.
And so there's a number
Dorothy's up north who made her own root beer.
Yeah. And a famous brand from right here in Minnesota is 1919 root beer. And of course it's dates from in Prohibition. So that's, these things have been around for quite a while. And today there are hundreds of varieties. And I was able to actually brew some root beer up with my summer campers, which was so fun. Now, I know many of our listeners don't come from North America, and there's a good chance you have no idea what on earth root beer actually tastes like. What is this?
Describe it, Kirk?
It's a strange, earthy, spicy, sugary.
I wouldn't say spicy. It's spicy.
It can be spicy. Some of them can be a little spicy, and that's the thing. It's spicy in the way that
ginger can be kind of spicy.
Yes, exactly. So I'm going to kind of dive into this. First off, it's a soda pop, right? It's mostly water and sugar, like all their sodas. It may have started off as like a medicinal drink, but now it's like it's just a soda, okay, or a pop, as we call it here. Most sodas have some sort of singular natural flavoring though, like cola flavoring or orange or cherry. And root beer is a bit more like Dr. Pepper, if you've had that, in that it has its roots in medicinal medicine, which is where many roots and herbs are mixed together to create a unique and complex flavor. So it has a much deeper, more complex flavor than some of the sodas that are just sort of hit one note. And the main flavor comes from two different plants, which I find really interesting. Okay. The first one you mentioned is sassafras. The second one that you can use either with it or just on its own is sarsaparilla.
Okay.
Although it looks like it's pronounced sarsaparilla, but sarsaparilla. So when people tell me they've tried root beer and didn't like it, I'm always a little suspicious of what they actually tried, because every brand is completely and vastly different in taste from some of the others. Like the closest thing I can think of is like the difference between Coke and Pepsi. Like they're both cola based, but they taste pretty different with this underlying cola note. Well, the difference between different root beers is more different than between all the colas. Because
it's kind of like the difference between like different black teas. In my opinion,
it's
like an Earl
but like
Grey
those all use the same plant.
Breakfast.
Like these don't necessarily even use the same plant as the base note of the drink, because you can have a sarsaparilla root beer or you can have a sassafras root beer. Root beers can basically just be all over the place. Some friends and family, actually, we did like a huge blind root beer taste test earlier this year over the course of several sessions. We sampled, I don't know, something like 20 different root beers, like blind taste tests. And the taste variety was absolutely astounding how different they could be. Like some of them, you taste one and you're like, oh, okay, this is kind of weak. Now there's just a little bit of, kind of that sassafras taste. And the next one was like being punched in the face with 40 different flavors, none of which tasted like the other one. Like it's so wild. So I said the first major difference though, is between that sassafras based drinks and the sarsaparilla based drinks. Both have a similar general taste. Like it's kind of in the same family, but sassafras is slightly spicy, earthy, and sweet, while sarsaparilla is more bitter and like woody tasting. And I will say sassafras is more popular, but controversially, it's actually now illegal to use, which is wild. So around when I was born, actually, the FDA, the Food and Drug Administration in the US, determined that sassafrole, which is the main flavor in sassafras, is actually a carcinogen. So no sassafrole for us. But here's the weird part. You know what is more carcinogenic than saffrole? Ethanol. Ethanol is a group 1 carcinogen. So basically, that it's been linked to breast, colorectal, esophageal, liver, oral cavity, pharynx, and larynx cancers. There is more ethanol. There's more ethanol in a beer than sassafrole in real root beer, and yet sassafrole is illegal, or saffrole is illegal, and ethanol is not. So definitely the dose maketh the poison, as Shakespeare said. By the FDA's logic, we should outlaw beer for causing cancer, and I do not see that happening anytime soon.
What?
The study they based this on. There's
a alcohol lobby, I'm pretty sure.
There's a number of reasons that's not going to happen. Go back to Prohibition and see how that worked out. The study they based this on, they actually fed saffrole to rats and found that they found increased rates of cancer and liver damage. But here's the thing. Like a lot of these tests, they gave the rats the equivalent of 32 bottles of root beer per day.
Oh my God.
Which is...
That's insane.
Absolutely.
You would
bonkers,
never drink that many in a day.
So people absolutely still do gather sassafras for use at home to make their own root beer. And look, it's perfectly safe. I guess as long as you don't chug through several gallons per person per day, you're probably fine.
I'm sick thinking about it. That's too much.
Legally, all sassafras-based root beer sold commercially today uses an artificial flavor, as they can't legally use the real saffrole. So That's just sort of that base note. What other flavors are in this strange drink? There's the common ingredients you usually find are things like vanilla, and I really like the vanilla ones. Those of you who are root beer fans,
delicious.
if you like A&W, that's a very heavy vanilla root beer. Wintergreen is also very common in root beer, which is what gives them a minty taste. And a lot of people are like, mint? There's no mint in root beer. But if you have a root beer that has wintergreen, and like Stewart's, for example, is a fairly common brand you can find in grocery stores. That one has a lot of wintergreen. If you drink it, you're like, you would probably never think about it as you're drinking it. But if I gave you one and said, there's mint in this, and you drank it, you're like, oh my God, there's so much mint in here. But it's all what you're kind of primed to think ahead of time, which is really fascinating.
That is wild.
It's controversial. Some people like wintergreen based root beers. Some people don't. There's also licorice can be in there.
No.
And anise can also be common. Just a little, like, these are things that add like a little bit of depth. They add a little bit of depth and roundness to it. They're not going to like, it's not like a licorice flavored drink. You're going to find caramel flavor added. You're going to find molasses often, and that's going to come with your sugar, especially if you're using like a brown sugar. Like you guys, brown sugar is just white sugar with molasses added. That's what brown sugar is. Yeah. So it's like, if you're using brown sugar, you basically get the molasses in there. In the version I made with the kids, we used maple syrup from our sugar maples at work.
Did.
Oh, it tasted so good.
Really good.
It added a little extra something in there. Some people also use honey as a sweetener, again, to add a little bit different sort of taste in there. For increased spiciness, you can, again, use sarsaparilla, but you can also use cloves, nutmeg, or cinnamon, also birch bark or cherry bark. My secret recipe as Potions Master also includes allspice and ginger to add just a little bit of that little spicy note.
That little,
and again, not spicy as in like spicy hot, but if you think about if you had a spiced cider in the fall or in autumn, we'll have like a nice like warm cider
kind of
with
like
all kinds
a
of like
herby, like it's more
cloves, nutmeg, cinnamon, and allspice is kind of my go-to for that as well because it adds.
You're getting ready for pumpkin
niceness.
Latte season.
But if you drank that,
coffee,
then I would. Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's
Pumpkin
the thing
pie.
is there's so many possible ingredients that you and the different proportions of them. You can see why every root beer from every company, everyone who makes it, tastes slightly different because those mixes really going to change it. So root beer is a very North American drink. Though shout out to Australia for having a fairly popular brand that can even be found here in the United States. It's called Bundaberg.
Okay.
It's a little divisive. Some people either love it or hate it because it is different. It's a sarsaparilla based drink. It's sarsaparilla root, vanilla bean, licorice root, and molasses. I have not tried it yet, but I've been meaning to. I know they have it at my local grocery store. I need to go get some after this. I think when you buy it in Australia, they market it as sarsaparilla, and when they sell it here, they call it root beer. But fair enough. It's the same thing. We call them both. They're actually like Sioux City sarsaparilla is sold here, but it's just root beer. So now, if you're from another country and you've never had root beer and think you want to try some, it's a cool experience. I think it's delicious and amazing. I have 2 words of caution. Okay,
Yeah.
First off, like I've been kind of hinting at, you have to try a bunch of them because even as an American, there's some root beers I love and there's some that I hate because they can be very different. If I'd only ever tried the ones I hate first, I might have not found the ones that I like because, again, they're all different. So you got to try a number of them.
Yep.
The second warning, though, is that I'm afraid you may never like any root beer. And that has to do with its medicinal herbal medicine roots. So many of the main flavors present, sassafras, mint, birch bark, and licorice, have all been used in traditional herbal remedies around the world.
Right.
So even as medical knowledge advanced, many of those same ingredients were kept in tonics because they're like, well, this is traditional. This is what we have in there. Even as we put ingredients in that like
this is
work
the
better.
flavor.
Like actual medicine. Yeah, the medicine tastes bad. You know what? Let's just keep these other flavorful things in there because they kind of mask the taste of the real medicine, which tastes horrible.
Yeah.
And to this day, a lot of those same ingredients are still used in everything from herbal cough drops to the flavors pharmacies add to liquid medicines to make them taste better, especially when kids are going to have to take a liquid version of medicines. So in countries without a root beer tradition, those flavors, especially sassafras, which is a very strong tasting plant, have unfortunately become synonymous with medicine. And many non-North Americans, when drinking root beer for the first time, think of it as tasting like medicine or cough drops or toothpaste. And similarly, sarsaparilla is used in China as like a health tonic. Not as I don't think it's a sugary drink; it's more just like a sarsaparilla drink that's a tonic. And so people who taste root beer here would be like, "Well, this is like a sugary version of a health tonic. Like this is weird tasting." Like, so some people from that part of the world may not like that flavor as well, just because of its connotation with medicine for them. I will tell you though, root beer is delicious, but if you've only ever associated that taste with medicine, your perception is colored by experience. And I know when I was a kid, I would get frequent ear infections, and I had to drink that pink liquid version of amoxicillin. That in America, you know it. In America, it's often given a fruity bubblegum flavor. But it's that weird fruity bubblegum flavor mixed with like really awful taste in medicine. And so like I have the same reaction you do when I think about that bubblegum flavor. I'm like, oh God, like that. It's just like, it makes me want to gag.
I've had the non-flavored amoxicillin.
How's that?
No, it's bad. It's chalky.
Yeah.
And it's gross.
So when I visited Scotland, my wife was keen to try Iron Brew. Which is the local favorite soda beverage there.
No.
I took one sip and I absolutely could not drink anymore because to me, it tasted exactly like medicine. It has some of the same flavoring in that soda in Scotland is the same flavoring that we put in our amoxicillin here in the US. And I just can't break that association in my head. It's like I'm drinking a big bottle of amoxicillin. Can't do it.
Absolutely not.
I get it if root beer has some association with medicine for you. That's literally the root of where it came from. That's how it started, was as a medicine. And humans will go on making tasty beverages from plants. But it is interesting to think about how strange it is that that while the flavors themselves don't change, our perception of flavor based on our past experiences can certainly color our perception and enjoyment of those flavors.
Wild.
Which just is wild and weird. So I just wanted to go down that little, train talking about root beer. I think it's pretty strange. I think it's delicious mostly. And it's my show, so I get to talk about root beer if I want to. So thank you for coming along with me to talk about the most wonderful beverage in the world. Write to me to tell me your favorite type of root beer.
Or you can comment on any of our social media too. Look, what is what's your favorite
root beer? If you say Barks, I can't be your friend anymore. I'm sorry, but no, it's popular, but
high bar.
I can't have caffeine, so I can't. It's the only caffeinated root beer. Part of what I like about root beer is it doesn't have caffeine, so I don't like that it has caffeine in it. I also don't like the flavor of it. That's a cool thing. There's a root beer for everybody, y'all. There's a root beer for everybody. Get out there. Tell me what yours is. I want to know. Which ones have I not tried? I got to warn you, I've tried a lot. Which ones have I not tried? Tell me your favorite. I want to know. Maybe I'll read it on the show if somebody sends it in. So,
ooh, that'd be fun.
That's what I've got, everyone. That's what Rachel has.
Kirk.
Yeah, thanks for being here.
It
was a fun one.
Time.
It was a weird show, but it's supposed to be.
All right. Thanks, everyone, for listening. See you next week.
Bye-bye. Thanks, everyone, for listening to today's show. Be sure to subscribe. New episodes drop every Wednesday, and we love sharing this strange world with all our listeners. If you would be so kind as to leave us a 5-star rating and review wherever you get your podcasts, that would be great. It lets other lovers of the strange discover the show. You can reach us by searching for Strange by Nature Podcast on Instagram, Facebook, and Blue Sky. You can send us an email as well. Our address is contact@strangebynaturepodcast.com. If you want more information about the show, you can check out our website, strangebynaturepodcast.com, and you can support the show and get ad-free episodes at patreon.com/strangebynature. Until next week, get outside, stay curious, and embrace the strange.